Good evening, Patrick here from Eight Questions With, and happy rainy night here in southeastern Michigan. It is a cold and damp day. It was pretty nice for most of the day. Nice and sunny, a little cloudy, but not too bad. I didn't think that we're going to get any rain, but here it is. And they're saying that we might get our first few snowflakes in, but that probably will be up north more than down southeast Michigan. That'll be more northern than southern. We don't usually get our first snow until November-ish. Though I have seen snowflakes in October. Um, hey, what's going on, Eddie? Hey, JT, how are you? Glad to see you here, sir. And of course, here's our special guest for tomorrow. It's Heroic Waffles. That's right. Waffles will be here tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel. And hey, Anthony, I see you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, that's right. It's basketball season already. God, where does the time go? Well, so tonight we're welcoming in the Bud Files. They're a family of YouTubers that live in the Dakotas. I'm not sure if they live in North or South Dakota. We were going to find that out. In fact, they just popped in right now, and they'll be here with us in about 15 minutes. Oh snap! Yeah. Oh, you know what? There goes. There. Oh, hold on. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think look at. Oh, that's a supernatural right there. Waffles bought himself an ISC movie. Which one did you get, Michael? Good for you. Oh my gosh. See, come over to the dark side because we got cookies. Room 247. I think I have that. Now I'll have to double check. I think I might have that one. Well, good for you. Oh man, that's gonna be exciting tomorrow. It's gonna be exciting tonight too. The Bud Files will actually the Bud Files Bud family will be here in about 15 minutes. And like I said, I'm not sure exactly when they're exactly. Is it 447? I thought it was 407. I think it's room 407, and I do have that. It's still good though. That's an IC midnight movie. So you're gonna be very entertained. Yeah. Gosh, I'll have to. You know what? I'll have to dig that up after the show tonight and put it to the side. That's cool. So the Bud Files are a family of that really do believe in and doing a lot of adventures together. They travel where they live at, and in the Dakotas, probably Montana too, I would think. And they go to various different places, like ghost towns, old abandoned buildings to explore those. Not they don't trespass or anything like that, but they go and they see an old building, they'll go there and explore it, which is really cool to me. Hi, Brene, how are you? I think that's really cool, and they do it as a family, and they film it for their channel, all the different places they go to, and they explore, and they're curious. They're just curiosity. They have that that drive to see what's over the hill, and that's really a cool thing to have. And it's really cool when your whole family is like that. It's because a lot of times you get kids that are a little older and they're like, do I have to hang out with mom and dad? But with the family, they are all they're all into it. They're all into exploration and seeing what's new, and so I'm excited to talk to them. Hey, Aaron, haven't seen you in a long time. Okay, so not quite yet to Montana, but they will be going there. So they do explore the Dakotas. Montana will be a very interesting place for them to explore. Those will come out with some great videos. Um, and I'm sure they've been into. Have you been to Idaho as well? Of course, Idaho is like this far when you drive from the Dakotas through, I think yes, Dakotas, and then Montana, and then Idaho. Um, so we'll see if anybody we'll see all the states they've been to. I'm sure they've been to a lot, so we'll be talking to them about their adventures. I asked them before, or we'll get the answer tonight, but I asked them, since they're in their car so much and they travel so much, I asked them if they name their car. I think that anybody that has as many adventures as they do should have a name for their car. Uh, Good to see you again, Aaron. I have not seen you in a long time. Yesterday we had a terrific interview with abstract artist Maureen Duty. She was here yesterday. Terrific interview. Highly recommend it. Just and I also put her pages down. I mean her interview, so you can go down and see her personal site, and you can go check out some of her paintings. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So we had a terrific interview with her yesterday, and I had a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. That was those very, very talented people, both Maureen and her husband Bryce, very talented people, and their kids are too. Holy crow, their kids are on their way up too. They're only like 13 years old, but they're dancing, and one's going to art school, and it's just amazing. Um, it's so cool to see that, because we definitely need that in this country, or Canada, kids being interested in the arts. Um, so tomorrow, like I said, tomorrow we have Michael will be here with us, and then Sunday, the 16th, we wrap up on the Midnight Society. We're wrapping up our look at John Wick, as we'll be joined by Betty J. Gathers and Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater. We're taking a look at John Wick 3 Parabellum, in lieu of the new movie coming out in March, March 23rd, 2023. I believe that is when the movie is coming out. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Casey. Oh, cheetah signs. That's right. Uh, Next month, yeah, I guess that's coming up too. I know everybody's got their eyes on Halloween Ends, uh, but me and Casey, we sort of have our eyes a little bit beyond that. We're looking forward to November because there's going to be a brand new Godzilla short out. It's Godzilla and Gigan Rex, and we've seen the previews for that, and we cannot wait to see the full finished product. That's going to be awesome. Uh, hey, there's Joe. See what I mean? The whole family's going to turn out and to support. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. And let's see. Let me do the rest of the calendar because I got stuff here to talk about. I do got stuff to talk about. All right. So how many people here in the chat today are going to go see Halloween Ends the day of? I guess if you have Peacock, you don't even have to go to the theater. That you can just stay right at home, order a pizza, and and not even have to get out of your seat. That's fine. That's fine. I hope Angel feels better soon. Yeah. See, you're watching Friday, and yeah, yeah. Oh, come on, come on. I think you deserve a better class of pizzas, Casey. Not Little Caesars. You can do better than that. Oh my God. Who actually? I don't know anybody eats Little Caesars. I really truly don't. That Batzoni was probably like the first time I've seen anybody I've known eat that pizza in years. Yeah, pizza dies tonight. Um, I picked up a pizza at the local grocery store. They were doing it on clearance sale, because they were closing it out, I guess. And I decided to get one because I never tried it before, but I got one with a chickpea crust. The crust is chickpea, and I've never tasted that before. So I bought one of the pizzas on the closeout, and I'm sort of interested. It's going to be interesting to see how that tastes. Yes, Joe. Thank you. Look at, see exactly. Cardboard with sauce. That is Little Caesars in a heartbeat. Now, I have not tasted this. I have not tasted the chickpeas pizza, so I could be getting a Little Caesars right there. But I mean, after all, there is a reason why it's on clearance. Maybe people don't like chickpea for a crust. I don't know. I've never, like I said, I've never had it, so maybe I should do a review of that. Like, okay, here I am. I'm going to review eating this pizza. That could be something that Cheetah and I do. So next Tuesday on the 18th, next Tuesday on the 18th. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think it's just a cheese pizza too, Joe. I think it's just a cheese pizza. There's no meat sauce on it or anything. I mean, I've heard of people doing that. I personally like the deep crust pizza myself. But I'm sure that's something you guys have done a lot too. I'm sure you guys have been to a lot of restaurants, little diners, mom and pops, diners and what have you. Yeah, yeah. I'll let the pizza have it. Give it to Paladin. He'll eat anything. Uh, I'm sure you guys have been to your fair share of diners. Next Tuesday, the 18th, we have Ken and Ashley Sledge, aka Sledgehammer Horror. They're going to be coming in today, coming in on Tuesday. We're going to talk about all things horror. For a brief second there, I thought that Ken had actually scored a Grail guest. I for a minute there, I was hoping. He said he was going to meet Devon Sawa, and I thought, oh my gosh, he got himself an interview with him. And I said, that's amazing. That's a big name. And so I pinged him and I said, did you get Devin to come on their channel? And he says he not yet. And but you know what? I think that they can get him. I think they could get that young man. Uh, Sweet. See, Renee saying, I miss the delicious smells of the old cardboard pizza from the old drive-in movie. Yeah, they were just for, also they were really good for Renee ice cream. Drive-in theaters were awesome for ice cream. Hell, the best ice cream I've ever had in Michigan, the best ice cream I've ever had in Michigan was at a Comic Con. Holy crow, that ice cream was tight, so good. I saw more than one person buy two ice cream cones, and they weren't with anybody. Wow. Drive-in Snow White with the hot roast beef sandwich. Wow. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, I sort of want that too. Though I think I'm gonna have to lay off all that stuff for like a month or so. I had a case of the gout last month, and it was slowly going away. And I went ahead and shot myself in the foot and started eating like shit again. And then I got it back like this week. So that's a lesson to me. So from now on, I'm going to be thoroughly watching what I eat. Does Little Caesars make ice cream? I don't think Little Caesars makes anything. The only thing Little Caesars makes, they make people puke or poop after they eat all that oil or all that greasy pizza. I think that's the only thing that they could actually sit there and say they make. They don't even make pizza. Uh, yeah, greases. See, we're talking about this because our buddy Hobbs, he got himself the Bat Zoni when the Batman came out. I guess they had a promotion deal with Little Caesars, so he got himself a Bat Zoni. That thing looks so gross. It looked terrible. It looked like a Widowmaker. Oh yeah. All right. So the buds will be here right about now. They'll come on up and we'll get this going face to face. Hey Echo, how are you? Oh, not a problem. I do really do hope. In fact, I should even just drop it in since I'm saying about it. I really do hope you guys will get a chance to watch or listen to the interview yesterday. And I just reminder uh, that every show that we do here, um, doing good. Echo, you're going up tonight too with Echo Side, right? 10 o'clock. Echo's got a new show on Wednesdays, a new live stream show with him and Eddie and Nanette called the Echo Side, and I think it's at 10 o'clock, maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm not sure. There's Mr. Bones in the house. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and I want 10 p.m. So right after we're done here, we'll put a link up to your channel, Echo, and come on over. All right, here we go.
There we go. There we go.
Ta-da!
There we go. Sorry, StreamYard was being weird tonight.
Yeah, it always is weird, isn't it?
Welcome to the land of funky television. Oh.
It's, as of late, it seems to be people have been commenting that they've been having a lot of problems. Sometimes they'll be middle of a stream and they get hooked out. They get hooked off. Here. Let me help you out here. I'm going to make your screen a little bigger.
Right.
I'm learning all the tricks.
Oh, no.
I know no tricks.
If all else fails, tickle the New Jersey devil, and we should have something happen. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, magic, isn't it?
Fine.
Wow. See, it's the paranormal.
Ooh.
Yes, the pair of normals. No.
Nobody.
I'm using spirit fingers too. That's right.
See, this way I can come over here looking for knowledge.
There's none in there.
Now, you're Sue and you're Joe, right?
That's
No,
right.
I'm Sue and that's Joe. No, just kidding.
Right. All right.
Listen to him. He's weird.
I was really glad when I asked you to do this because I've been watching your channel for a long time, and I know you've been great supporters of my channel as well. I love your channel because you guys are always on the go. You're always going places. You're always discovering something new.
Mm-hmm.
And, how cool is that?
Honestly, it's been the best fun we've had as a family in a very long time. And the fact that we can go out and enjoy ourselves and just be natural and have other people enjoy our adventures is so much fun.
We got a whole sandbox on this side of the state to work with, so every week we get to find something else out that's new and unusual. So
Now, are you in North or South Dakota?
South Dakota.
South Dakota. That's people. I think when people think of the Dakotas, I think they think of Mount Rushmore.
Yep, it's not far from us.
And I think that's really basically maybe North Dakota State football, but
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I don't think they realize that there's so much rich history and different little towns and buildings and all sorts of exciting places to go. I honestly, I never thought about it. I thought, okay, that I know there's Sioux City, I know there's Minot. There's a couple of bigger cities in there. I know in the Dakotas, but I never thought there'd be so many small towns and little. I mean, it's crazy what you guys find and show.
Yeah, I'll leave most of that up to him.
One of the fun things for North Dakota, I mean, look at your hat. North Dakota is famous for developing hockey players. I mean, you had the Fighting Sioux until they were forced to change their name. But yeah, up there it's like a religion. It's like football to Texans. Here in South Dakota, everybody's like, oh, well, you have Mount Rushmore, you've got Crazy Horse. That's maybe 0.5% of western South Dakota. There's all the rest of this, area out here. And granted, it's pretty wide open, but there's a lot of history out there to go out, scope, find, and learn about. So lots of fun.
Were you always explorers? Have you always been that way? Was that something that brought you two together as a couple?
Honestly, no. In fact, today we just posted the story of how we met because our anniversary is tomorrow. As I told you when you asked us to do this, our wedding anniversary is tomorrow. We met at a call center over books. We actually didn't do very much exploring until after 2020, and it was just because I got cabin fever and I wanted out. I didn't care where we went. I just wanted to go. And abandoned places seem the best place to go because there's nobody there.
Right.
You figure by the rules, you got to stay 6 feet apart. They're under the ground, and unless they're zombies, they're not going to come around. So we're pretty safe.
Yeah, I mean that's one good thing about it's one good thing about the Dakotas is that you don't have to worry about a lot of fools running around trying to get everybody sick. You had wide enough spaces to stay safe.
Crazy enough, we actually have had people come here because of other states going on lockdown. They had people that would fly into Rapid and then go camp out in Deadwood for 3 months at a time. For like, what brought you to South Dakota? Oh, our state all locked down. We didn't want to be there anymore. Well, okay, but you do have to admit it was really funny when 2019 happened, because I was working for our U.S. government. Oh boy. One person got sick and they shut the whole state down for the job I was doing. And I'm like, one person gets sick in half this state that we had to work. I think we could miss the one person. It's a pretty wide freaking state.
No.
It would be like one person getting sick in the New England states. I think you can still go to Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. You'll be able to miss the one person. But no, somebody in D.C. said, no, we're shutting the whole thing down. And I'm like, okay, 2 months of getting to sit on my butt again. This will be fun. But then, when I did get to work, I was going out to places like Wall, up to Murdo, all the way up to the Cheyenne River. And I kept sending her pictures. And she got sick and tired of it after a while. She's like, you're going places and I don't get to see any of this neat stuff.
Because at that time I was working from home and I'm just like, I'm stuck indoors and he's showing out and seeing all this stuff. I'm like, forget it. And whenever I'm off, we're going somewhere. I don't care where. We're just going to go.
Of course, she also kind of set the table for the whole thing because for, what was it, Christmas, you got me the Atlas?
Yeah.
We have an atlas in the car, one of the old-fashioned map atlases made out of paper, because there are some places in South Dakota technology don't work no more.
No.
We hit a black hole and the phones don't work. GPS is non-existent, Houston. I mean, you're like, okay, where are we? Break out the map. Okay, hang on. That's just the way it is in Western South Dakota. I mean, they could hire me for Ma Bell or one of the internet companies, and I could help them find places that they need cell towers for, because it does not work in some places. We've got canyons that are like that.
So is there a lot of dead? Is there a lot of is dead space a good thing to you? I mean, when you're driving, you don't have. I mean, short of an accident, of course. But do you like? Does it make you feel good that you could actually get out, drive, and not be called or bothered by anybody?
That's kind of a trick question, because yes, it's nice to not have to worry about the calls, but at the same time, I get very anxious, especially in the fall and winter when the weather is less than trustworthy.
Right.
That if you're in one of those black holes and you get into an accident, you are screwed, because the next town is 20 or 30 miles away from wherever you're at.
Now, has that happened to you where you've had a flat tire or an engine go bad? Have you been stuck out there?
Not yet, but it's my biggest fear is that one of these days we're going to be out in the middle of nowhere, no signal, and we're going to get a flat tire and not be able to call anybody.
We had one episode that, to me, it's still the craziest time. We went up and saw two churches that are right up by the North Dakota border, up Highway 79. Now,
oh yeah,
break out the atlas, because I didn't realize 79 went that far north. So we got up there, and all of a sudden, the little snow starts drifting down, and I'm like, ooh, this could be fun. So instead of going straight down 79 like a smart person would, we decided to swing over and check out the huge metropolis of Ralph.
Hey, it was fun checking out Ralph. We found that little abandoned shop in Ralph.
Right. And the old post office that was all in one building. But so we're like, okay, so we got to see this little shop, and then we take the South Road down and back over to 79. Just as we got down to where 79 meets 34 by another little town called Riva, that's when we ran into fog with a blizzard and high winds all at once. And so then we got to go from Highway 34 down to Sturgis about 25 miles an hour?
Something like that.
We're creeping in this storm. And now, give you an idea, 79 in that particular neck of the woods, there is no side guardrails. You're going down a mountainous road up by what's known as the Slim Buttes area, through forest area. And then when you get past those, you've got this lovely, wide open, desolate looking plain that kind of reminds you of like a semi-arid desert. And the storm is still going along. Winds, people go flying past us with their headlights on. And I'm like, I'm just going to stay on the road, because at least I know the road goes south. Sure enough, we got back down to Sturgis, and there was no snow on the roads.
Wow.
But like the storm was all to the north of us. I guess they got hit by like 8 inches.
You just got out at different time.
Yeah. And we're not driving a big 4-wheel truck like most.
No, we're driving a teeny tiny little white car.
We got this little Hyundai Elantra 2018. But the thing that's funny is it's a great little car, because
We've taken it to places you probably shouldn't take the thing.
If we sent a poster of all the places we went to Hyundai, we'd probably get a note back saying, never drive one of our products again. You're unsafe.
Actually, they probably would make a commercial out of it.
Probably,
Hey,
maybe.
as long as they pay us,
I was going to say, send us another test sample. We'll let you know how it works. Because have you ever heard of a bobcat?
Yeah, it's a loader.
No. This is a little four by four toy that people drive trails on up here.
Oh, okay, okay.
I've been on a few roads.
Roads.
Roads is the cute term on that one there. And it's gotten funny because I've had people look at me while driving the car, and they're like, this is a trail, and I'm like, it looks like a map on my computer. It looks like a road. I was up by a place called Nemo, way up in the hills, and I went in and stopped there to grab a snack, and the guy's like, "You're the guy with that white car, aren't you?" And I says, "Why?" He says, "Well, half the people said I should take your keys from you. The other half want to give you an award." Apparently, they didn't believe I could drive on that. So
Yeah, those little cars, they can go. I used to,
yeah.
I drove me and my wife. I drove my car. I drove my car through a blizzard up here in Michigan, and yeah, it was not quite as mountainous, a little bit, but not quite. And yeah, I drove through a blizzard, and I didn't mind it. You just go slow. You go nice and slow, and that's the whole key.
Now, are you a Youper or a lower?
I am lower.
Oh, okay. So you're safe then.
Yes, the Youpers are crazy, and they're past the Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah, some of the craziest places that we've had the joy of driving. We discovered that there's like 4 cemeteries by this one small railroad town out, off of I-90, heading towards Chamberlain. It's a little town called Presho. And one of the cemeteries used to be part of another town. It's gone now. There's the regular city cemetery. There's the Catholic cemetery. But then if you went about 33 miles south and then west, there's another little cemetery down there. And what's funny is half the people have never even heard of it. It's called Hillmo White River. And apparently it was part of this one church. And they started way back in the 1900s. In fact, for the first 17, 18 years of their existence, it was only in Norwegian. And every year they'd have a Lutefisk festival and a dinner. The people that actually held the church would go every 2 weeks. They would go down to different churches, kind of in a circuit. They did Belvedere, they did Presho, they did Hillmo, they did Draper. And it gets funny because sometimes I'm like, we almost ought to put a disclaimer on our channel and say, please have Atlas handy to look where these towns are.
If I can find, if they give me an option for location, I will put it on there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not all of them can do that.
Yeah. None of the you'll find these towns mostly through the Atlas more than on an app, wouldn't you?
Some of them you can, because there's some places like what I was mentioning with Ralph. Ralph at one time, it still lists on maps. The big problem is that there's not much left of the town. I mean, there's the church, the school, the cemetery, and a small cluster of houses. I think 2 of the houses are still in use, but the general store, it's closed. It's wide open to the elements. They actually, I think, tried to crawl in through the front door the last time we were up there. So I'm a little more skittish when it comes to hiking into buildings. I probably would go into it now because some of the places we've gone, wasps are a fun thing out here in the fall season. The other day we were going to go check out one structure, and sadly, it was a little town called Climax. It used to be a stage stop back when the Fort Pierre to Deadwood line was going. It was a stage stop. It was a post office. Had a few small houses, a couple huge barns for horses. But we were going to go peek around inside it, but just this cloud of hornets going around. I'm like, I think we'll wait until the frost comes through and kills most of these off because I don't want to get stung. I don't know why. It's just not
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, no. Now, when you go inside these small towns like Ralph, so let's say they have what? They have like a population of 10 or 12. Do
Mm-hmm.
you are they just do you ever stop and talk to any of the people there? I mean, like,
He talks to everybody. If there's a person, he will talk to them. I'm not very social. If you approach me, I'll talk to you. But I will not approach you unless I need something. But if there's a person, Joe will talk to them. If we're driving down the road and there's somebody standing there, he will stop and talk to them. He loves talking to people.
We
uh,
we went and saw a former sanitarium, and I like to try to get information and I try to get permission. It's kind of my habit. We saw people, and so I boldly opened the door and walked in to talk to the people.
Angel and I tried to hide in the car. We were doing this, and Angel was hiding behind my chair. We were not very good spies.
now the people were actually inside the sanitarium. What were they doing?
They're stripping it to because they're going to tear it down.
Okay.
They're getting the asbestos out of it and everything, and the building's been there since 1909. I keep telling the guys that run the area. Have you ever heard of Waverly? By all means, resecure the building. Do some patchwork, put the windows back in, and run crews through there. It's an awesome structure. We got some excellent video when we were able to do a couple walkthroughs of it. So,
What city is that in?
it's south of Custer.
It's a little town called Sanator. It no longer exists. It's right past Custer.
Wow.
What's
How
actually
many how many ghost towns have you guys been through? And what is a
20?
ghost town? Is a ghost town with a population has to be under a certain number, or does it have to be entirely abandoned for it to be called a ghost town?
It depends on who you talk to, how they define it. We define it as anything that has less than 100. There are some that are completely empty though. Like when we went to Vesta, it's got like 2 people, and they're only there occasionally.
There was Kappa. It's got a population of 1.5, a guy and his dog. We went to a place called Vesey. All that's left of it is the cemetery. Oh, the school and the teacher's residence is still there. Gustav is completely empty. It's a town that's south of Camp Crook. I would say, though, the number is probably between 20 and 25 sites that we've been to that fall into that ghost town radius. And yeah, like she was mentioning, we went to one up in North Dakota called Halley. It's got a whopping population of 2. We never saw the people when we were there, though. It's just north of where Vesey is. They still have their historical bridge, which is kind of cool too. But
It's just so weird to think about that. You're driving around in a small town like that, and it's like you stop, and it's just like it's almost like sort of like the Children of the Corn type of scenario. You get out, and there's
Right.
nobody there. Let's go over that cornfield and check that out. All right, that works for me.
Well, welcome to the apocalypse. Everybody's gone. Everybody's dead. This town is completely empty.
Oh my God, the rapture is for real.
Hey, there you go. Everybody got taken. Oh, great. We're the sinners.
Have you seen all the free stuff we get?
I think JT's mentioned a couple of things here. He's mentioning they're acting completely normal. However, so no cause for alarm. If the town has a few people, but no one's really cares about them, then its population 0. Wow. Yeah. Because I mean, I guess when you go underneath a certain population and you don't have a town government, I guess your town's what do they call it? Uncorporated.
Yeah, we have a lot of unincorporated towns here too, but most of those have higher populations than the ghost towns.
What's really kind of funny is we just experienced this the other day. There was a town called Hannah that was part of Deadwood's history, and technically it's it has no city government, but the area still is populated. There's houses up in the hills and stuff. It has a cemetery, but yeah, it's technically not even a town. Dumont is the same way. It's a little bit further south of Deadwood, but it's controlled pretty much by two great big families, and the cemetery is now on private land. Sadly, we can't get in it. But what's really funny, though, is if you go south from Dumont, there's a road that has roughly 25 houses. Just, somebody said, well, we're going to sell off Grandpa's acreage. We'll turn it into housing areas. And now it's all a bunch of summer homes. Or at least I think they're summer homes because these people haven't had a really hard winter yet. Once the hard winter hits, they're out of here. So, I've had to help a few Texans get their cars started, and then they never come back for some reason.
I don't know why.
I know.
You throw a frost on their lawn and they're panicking.
Yeah. You threw a snowball at me. I'm going to call my lawyer. Go ahead, bring him up.
Yeah, that's well, either that or they'll sit there and say, "Well, all right, partner, let me go get my guns," because that's how they think, right?
No, pretty much.
Okay. Let's see. Go back here. Pretty much what happens often with a higher amount of people. Now, let me ask you a question. I mean, have you? I know I asked you if you talk to people, but have you been inside of a building, exploring it, emptiness, and then someone has come by and asked you what was going on? What were you there for?
Actually, that happened at Sulphur. The abandoned building, only building left in the town of Sulphur. We were heading back to the car, and a truck pulled up, and of course I panicked. But Joe just walked over to the truck and was like,
"Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how you doing?" And they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And we're like, just looking at the building, like, "Oh, can we look too?" And we're like, "Sure, go ahead. We don't care. It's not our building.
Take some pictures, talk to the ghost, this is all good,
But other than that, no, that's our only time that we had anybody ever stop when we were wandering.
Well, we were at that one cemetery.
Which one?
Up by
Miles.
Yeah, Miles. But no, that other one that's at that little truck corner, and then we went down by where the homestead was. It was that cemetery that had all the children in it.
That narrows it down.
I know. It's north of Wall.
That narrows it down.
I'm trying to remember. Plum Creek, no.
No, because Plum Creek was a school, not a cemetery.
Yeah, I would have to drag out my map. Here, you hold this, and I'll
hold this, and you pull up the map. We use Google Maps a lot, and I have to read. I'm sorry, I may have to move a little bit. I apologize.
Now,
one for sitting still.
Now you go with your son and your daughter, Angel, and your son, right? You guys all go exploring.
David does join us occasionally, but most of the time he opts out if we're not going someplace like a museum. He's not a big explorer. He has autism, so he doesn't like a lot of things, but we try to include him when we can. We'll tell him where we're going and give him the option to go, but most of the time he does not go. But he did join us some this summer. He went with us to a couple of museums. But Angel goes with us 90% of the time. She really likes to explore and get out with us.
I think that's cool. Now, how old is your daughter?
She'll be 18 in December, and David will be 21 in November.
Okay, so that proves my point. I was just mentioning that before about you bring your kids along. A lot of times, a lot of kids, especially that age, 17 or 18 or whatnot, they're not really into the history or the exploration. They're more into fashion or whatever's whatever's going on at the local mall or what have you. But I think it's really cool that your daughter.
Goose.
We wish to present to you one goose.
Oh dear. She crawled out of bed. I didn't think she would. She had a headache earlier.
Oh, okay. Hope she's feeling better.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's cool though that she goes around with you and goes exploring. I think that's really cool.
I think so too, and I know it's unique for teenagers to be into that, so we're grateful for that. But you have to remember, we also live in a very small state, so when it comes to activities, there aren't a lot.
Now, what city do you live in, and how big is it?
We live in Rapid, which is the second biggest city of the state, and there's
people.
thank you 78,000 people.
Okay,
Do you
that's
need
a
some
good.
help?
That's a good. That's a little smaller than my town. My town has about 84,000 in it.
Excuse me.
Let's see.
You don't, you don't
I'll
need
just
a drink, or you just don't want help. I don't believe you.
Now, have you found any? Do you guys collect antiques as well, or do you leave everything when you see it?
No, we don't collect things from places we go. We collect spirits from places we go. So far, we actually haven't found a place that had anything that we wanted to take with us. I know a lot of the urban X places that I've seen, especially in the bigger cities, you can go in and you can find clothing and all kinds of dishes and all kinds of things. But most places we found are just empty, or they're completely, moldy. So you don't want to take anything with you.
Right, right. And you can. I mean, I don't think very many people actually go out and about and to your places. So are they pretty clean? Pretty as far as that goes. I mean, not nobody's going over there trashing the buildings, are they?
Mostly it's done that most of the damage is done by weather, but there are occasionally signs of delinquents that bashing and smashing windows and things like that, but mostly it's the weather that does the damage that we've seen.
I think that would be just cool to go inside there and look at that. I mean, have you been to any houses? I mean, besides just barns or what have you been? Have you ever been in houses where they've left property behind?
Most of the houses we've been into are completely empty. We've been into two houses,
Two or three.
There was the Climax house, which was pretty much empty. There's some furniture, but most of it's moldy. And that's just from the house falling down and weather getting in. And then there was the Gustav house, which was completely empty except for some bones. And of course, you don't want those.
What kind of
those
bones?
are the only two I can think of.
What kind of bones were they? What kind of bones were they?
Some sort of animal. I want to say it was either a large dog or something, but I don't know.
Technically we did go in that one, but there was the one by Tama. Tama was a little tiny town that used to have a coal mine, and all that's left that we found one house and the foundation for a second down by the tree line. And
we couldn't actually
you couldn't really get in it because the where the front door was looked like somebody had pushed up several box springs to kind of keep people out. We could see where the stairs were. You could see where there's an upstairs. Several bones were also in that house as well. I think they were deer. Somebody was probably hunting and camping out there.
Okay.
And then there was the second foundation further out. But yeah, we could physically get inside that. Same with that fly house.
Yeah, fly house. I wouldn't mind trying getting into
Elk
that fly
Springs,
house again, because we connected into it when they were there last. The flies were terrible.
So I mean, you've never seen any squatters then?
No, we have not seen any squatters. That was our biggest fear when we went to Sanators, that we'd find somebody, but no, we have not found any squatters.
Interestingly enough, the year before, in 2021, one of the former residents of Sanator, they turned it into a youth troubled facility called Star Academy. This guy was there when apparently it was functioning as the Star Academy. He came back and just kind of did a ransack. He turned on waters. He flooded several floors. He threw fire extinguishers through windows. Yeah, he was obviously not a very happy person. The cops did eventually, catch up to him, and I guess he's now serving time for vandalism. But
Considering those rehabilitation programs, I would not be surprised if he was just like, "Wow, this shit was terrible. I'm gonna trash this place now." Would not be surprised.
Try to probably get some closure for himself. Now you also do a little paranormal investigation while you're out there. So that must be rich for the that must be tremendously. You must find a lot of spirits out there.
We do. We've actually always had spirits around. So watching ghost hunters and seeing people do paranormal on YouTube, we decided, you know what, we're going to do it too, because why not? We enjoy it, and it's fun, and it was fun to share that experience with others. So we just wanted to share what we know and what we hear and see and experience.
kind of fun being a history junkie too in this state, because there's such a long, standing history on this end of the state anyway. I mean, it's funny because eastern South Dakota was settled maybe a good 40, 50 years before western South Dakota finally developed, because, well, at that time, it was still the Great Sioux Reservation on this side of the state until somebody stumbled into the Black Hills and discovered gold. But, then you got to see, kind of as the state got unrolled and settled, all these little towns started developing. They would try, some of these places would last, 30, 40 years until either the people got tired trying to make ends meet, or the weather got so bad that they said, you're crazy trying to stay out here. We're going to go back to Minnesota. Not much of an improvement, I'm sorry. But yeah, they've had people from Iowa that tried to come out and set up places. 3 or 4 people die, and they turn around and go right back to Iowa. It's kind of a.
What do you mean by setting up?
They would try to actually make a small town out of it. There's one place. If you go down Highway 44, heading towards Scenic, you'll come to a town, another small town called Farmingdale, and it's about 80% empty now. There's a lot of, fallen down houses, trailers, little settlements. But then if you go to the general store of the town, and there's a road that goes north to New Underwood, if you follow that road, when you get to what's called Baseline Road, and then go east, about 4 miles, there's a location that they call the Iowa Settlement. And this was a group of about 25 people that were willing to try to make a go of it, become farmers, ranchers. But they wound up having about 7 or 8 people die trying to get this establishment going. The problem that they ran into was that, the weather was kind of harsh. I think it was also about the same time that the Spanish flu was getting pretty prevalent.
Let me interrupt you hold on one second. Your audio, it went tinny on us.
Oh, we got pinged. Tinny.
Uh-oh. Sorry, I don't know how to fix tinny.
It sounds like it sounds like it's hollow.
Hollow?
Yeah.
Hang on. Is that better?
No. It was going really good before. It just suddenly went all of a sudden we could barely hear you. Sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Yeah, ghost fucking with audio. Oops. Uh-oh. What'd you break? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
We'll give them a minute to fix their tech problems here. This is fascinating as hell.
St. Paul's. Sorry, I'm muting myself. I have no idea how to fix the tinny. If anybody has any ideas, I'm open to suggestions.
How did you have your phone before you moved? You might have jiggled a wire out of it or something.
No wires.
No. Huh. It was. You know what? I tell you what. Go back out and then come back in. Maybe that'll work. What a fascinating show. I mean, just to be able to go out there and poke around in American history like that. It's so cool. We used to go out there when we used to explore. In Michigan, where I'm at here, you could take your car and go west or south and be out in open country within 10, 15 minutes. All right, let me go get them.
Can you hear us now?
Yep, perfect.
Perfect.
Cool.
Haha. You know what? I bet you I know what happened. Did someone try to call in just now?
No.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes when you're on the phone, if someone tries to call in, it knocks you out. It does, at least for my phone. It knocks my phone out.
Oh, fun.
It knocks the volume all the way down. It's trippy. So now, were you always curious about the paranormal, or is that something that came to you once you started exploring all these houses?
Oh no, it's always been a part of our lives. The paranormal's always been around. The history is Joe's fault. He's always been into it. I just, the spirits were just there, and I just like accepted it. He just researched them.
So what's the first place you went to? I mean, what equipment do you use when you do your investigations? Do you use any tech equipment or?
That depends upon what I remember to bring with us. We have two spirit boxes, a K2, and cat balls, but most of the time I forget to bring.
Because you don't really, because is it pretty true? Is it true that because you just don't know where you're going to go?
Most of the time we do not do a lot of advanced thinking. We do not know where we're going to go. I usually ask Joe Saturday morning where we're going, and he's like, "Well, here's where we're going," and we're like,
"Roll the dice and
okay.
see what happens." You know?
We don't plan ahead.
The first ghost that we actually caught was in a little town called Galena. It's south of Lead, and I was just taking pictures of old buildings, and it happened to be sitting inside the doorway right by the window. And we went back up to Deadwood because a couple of her kinfolk run a shop up there, and showed them the picture, and they're like, "Do you know what you caught there in the window?" I'm like, "No. Can you send me that picture?" "Sure, why not?" You know. But that was our first good image that we caught of one. And the thing that's funny is they've also rehabbed that building, so you can't even replicate it again. I'm like, okay, you know. And they have signs all over the town that say, "Watch for ghosts." So yeah, they truly enjoy embracing that history of Galena. So
sure. Now you're not one of those types though that goes out there and it gets engagement every single place you go to.
Well, we pretty much do. Joe and I, we make a joke that we attract spirits. Even if a place isn't haunted by the time we get there or by the time we leave, it will be.
You think that's just because they're just looking for a ride out of town?
Sometimes.
For this, we're going to talk to Angel. Because,
What?
Angel,
Why?
going by the National Cemetery, always has a friend that goes along for a ride.
Oh yeah, I get like 3 to 6 every time, and they're like, "Where are we going?" And I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna go to this place and this place." I would not be surprised if we got a ghost that was just like, "Get me the fuck out of this town! I want out." So.
My biggest problem that I have usually is a veteran presence. When we go to the Northern Hills, we have to drive by the Black Hills National Cemetery,
And they're brats.
I can hear and get a vibe a good 10 miles out, and you know they know when Veterans Day is coming up. They know when Memorial Day, Memorial Weekend, it's bedlam. Now, the smaller cemetery for Fort Meade is in the hillside up above, and those ones are pretty, they're pretty calm, pretty respectful. Once in a while, I'll catch a sight of a Civil War, dressed soldier, but sometimes it all depends. I've got friends that are buried in the ground up there, and they're resting pretty peacefully. So, a lot of it depends. Sometimes I'll feel a cemetery ping, and it's almost like a radar. And then go to some of these cemeteries, there's nothing else around there. They're literally so far out in the country. We went to one that's south of Midland. There was 2 vets there. And, the nice thing is basically they were still doing their job they'd been doing for years, watching over the folks that live there. So sometimes you'll see some really quaint little cemeteries that are really well maintained because the farmers and the ranchers nearby, they'll come out every month, mow the grass.
Sometimes you'll find some that are not very well maintained.
Yeah.
Like we went to Riverview and the grass was this high.
Right.
Then I'm like, yeah, we can find the gravestones because they're somewhere underneath all the grass.
Wakeman Cemetery.
Wakeman was bad.
Well, we found out what the deal with Wakeman's. Wakeman Cemetery used to be the cemetery for the town of Reading. Reading, again, is one of those ghost towns with a whopping population, a little lower.
Oops, sorry. There.
I'll hold that like that. There. I look human. Reading has a whopping population of maybe 7. Surprisingly enough, it still has its post office.
Yeah,
But
that sounds like a metropolis.
Huh?
That sounds like a metropolis.
Very huge. But all that's left basically is the post office and a lot of abandoned cars. You'll discover small towns have a lot of discarded cars. When we were in the southern parts of South Dakota, down by Hot Springs, Edgemont, it'll be funny because they'll actually farm equipment. It'll be all lined up. What's crazy though is they'll have like 1,000 cars, and there's maybe 22 people in the entire town.
Wow.
There's just something wrong with the odds right there. Maybe these guys have a Facebook page, Ed's Auto Shop. If you're needing a steering wheel or something, call us up.
Yeah, maybe they do what some people do. Like if they know, like with animals, it's an unfortunate comparison, but sometimes it sort of reminds me of this. If you know someone who takes care of animals, next thing you know, everybody will be dropping them off, on your front lawn. And maybe that's it with ghost towns. They know that the car is not really, they don't want to pay a junking fee for it.
Right.
So why not just tow it out to that little town and just drop it off? No one's going to know. No one's going to care.
A good example of that, there used to be a place here in the hills back during World War II and almost all the way up to the Vietnam War. We called it Igloo. Basically, it was a former ordnance depot for the military. The military got tired of subsidizing it, and so they closed the base. Well, the people in the town nearby, called Provo, went onto the base and basically salvaged cars, hot water heaters, air conditioners. If they could find a use for it, they would grab it. And so now when you go drive through Provo, we went by this one block, and literally there was something like 150 hot water heaters. It was weird. North of the town was the car lot. There's maybe 300 cars up there. There's not that many people in Provo. I'm sorry. Every person gets 10 cars for free. No, I don't think so, Ed.
Well, they don't do anything.
Exactly. They're sitting out there rusting away in the snowstorm. But and so that's one of the things. Now Reading, go back to the original story. Originally its town site was a little to the east, and that's where the cemetery still is. The guys that ran it sadly, the one guy passed away, but his son, who lives in Texas, comes up once a year for Memorial Day and mows the grass again. So, somebody still is in that loop as far as taking care of the cemeteries, but it's just, maybe once, twice a year, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't care, it's just that they're not in the neighborhood anymore.
Right. Right.
So,
Pops has a question for you. He says, "Do you guys chronicle your adventures? Do you archive what you find, or find that they come home with you? The goblins and the ghost. He's had a few experiences himself.
They
Yeah, you
definitely come
ever
home
had it?
with us, especially the children and the soldiers. They come home with us.
you might,
And we, of course, we chronologize them. Look at the channel. You're going to see everything we do. That's our record.
Now,
That's our
let me ask you this: have you, because have you been to Little Bighorn? And if you have, tell us about your experiences there.
Little Bighorn?
Little Bighorn's up in Montana. We haven't been there yet. Trying to think of some of the other locations. We have been to Slim Buttes, and that's where a battle site had occurred. We also found a couple of the other locations where, like when they were what's known as the Horse Meat March Retreat, we saw one of their campsites, which was kind of a horrific version of history if you've ever read up on that. And of course,
I don't have you on film.
you have my forehead.
I'm trying to.
What was kind of crazy is that they lost a couple soldiers up there by the Slim Buttes area, and one of the guys had to get, I think it was a leg amputated, and he was yelling at the guys, "Bring my leg with me! I don't want to leave it for these savages." And sure enough, when they came back to that site about a month later, all three of the bodies had been dug up and horribly mutilated. But
Yeah.
it was a dark time in the country's history and a dark time in relations too. So have not been, just to throw this out, we haven't been down to Wounded Knee, any of the Native American cemeteries. They're very, I like to keep everything very respectful.
They're not as cooperative as some of the others.
Yeah. Now, granted, I will also say though, when you do your research, there are a lot of cemeteries down there, though.
A lot. I have them on my map.
Yeah, Sue. This is one of the fun things Sue does. She has a map that lists every cemetery pretty much in the state, and as we check them, she flips them.
Oh, you can. There we go.
So you keep a running track of every one you've been to.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And the fun thing is that we'll get to some, and if it's something that we cannot reach, or we've got to find permission first. There's a few that we've run into that it's just simply the fact that it is too. We went to one yesterday. Well, I should say Sunday, called Carr Cemetery. Maybe if I had hiker batons and maybe a bobsled, I could get down to the cemetery. It's about a good 70 feet downhill, but unfortunately I didn't have my gear with me, so we decided to wait till another day to go and try to get to that one.
When do you? I mean, I know because of the weather being what it is, you can't explore every day, all year round. But when's the best time for you to explore? Is it springtime or summertime?
Springtime is good. Summertime is okay for most things. You just got to beware of wasps. Fall's not bad. Winter is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Although we have gone places in the winter. If you look at our videos, there are places where we have gone in the middle of blizzards. We went to a cemetery and it was like -10 before the wind chill. And why did we go? Because we cray.
South Dakota is one of these states. If you want to see bipolar, just look at our weather. One year, I kid you not, we got stuck halfway between Rapid City and Denver because I was going to go see relatives, and they had closed the I-25 from Douglas down. We made it all the way to Lusk, which meant we got to drive over 100 miles to go nowhere. Now, that same year, in December, week of Christmas, we were playing volleyball outside. The grass was green, blue skies. I'm like, this is completely normal South Dakota. Now, if you've lived here long enough, and I've lived here 49 years, there's a few things that you do memorize. One is that if it snows before Halloween, you're going to have a bad winter. The other one is we have what's known as the stock show. It always snows during the stock show.
And it always rains during the basketball tournament.
Sometimes snows too.
What's the stock
we
show?
have what's known as the state AA basketball tournament, and it doesn't matter if it's going to be held in Rapid City.
It always rains in the rally.
It's a thunderstorm during the rally. Got to remember that fun episode. But yeah, during the state AA, every other year they flip it from Rapid City to Sioux Falls. It doesn't matter what side of the state it's on. We get a snowstorm. It's almost like clockwork. So,
what's the sock tournament or the sock? What's that?
The stock show.
Stock show.
Stock show.
It's a big weekly. Yeah, it's a big weekly event. They have everything from promoters come in and offering free souvenirs. They have a rodeo. They have farm equipment sales. I mean, it literally is like the second biggest event that Rapid City throws together every year. Number one, obviously, is probably the LNI, the Lakota Nation Invitational Tournament, where they have basketball, all sorts of sports. They have a knowledge bowl. They have a chess tournament. They have hand games. It's a very big event. So, and that happens in December, so that's coming up too. So.
Well, during your explorations, you must see a lot of you must experience a lot of things, and I was mentioning before we went live that like you must have sampled a lot of different restaurants and diners and what have you. What are some of your favorite places that you've been to, and what was your favorite dish?
We're very picky eaters, very very picky eaters. So we've learned to become very creative when it comes to food. I would say for favorite restaurant on the trail, I don't know.
If I have to put up, I'll put up two choices. The first one is there's a gas station in Piedmont.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That they have pizza, they have breadsticks, they've got hot dogs. Technically not a restaurant, but it's quick, it's fast, and usually by the time we get to Sturgis, we're done with it. There is a small diner type establishment up in the little town of Buffalo. It's in Perkins County. Full-scale restaurant, has a pretty good menu. I love the chicken fried steak they serve there. And then the lady was experimenting with making funnel cakes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
We got to try it.
Another good one is in Hill City. What is Bucking Bronco?
Bumping Buffalo.
Bumping Buffalo. They have the best corn nuggets. Every year we have to go at least a couple times. They're
an addiction. Now, see, the thing is, depending on if you like your hot food or if you like your regular food, I don't know why these people do it. They put jalapeno in with their corn nuggets. I'm not a fan of jalapeno, but this one here in the Bumpin' Buffalo, it's a straight corn nugget. They have a ranch that you can dip it in, and that's a meal all to itself. The only other place that I've seen them that way is a little town over by Pierre. North of Pierre is a little station just outside of the town of Blunt. And it's right over the Missouri River. Another cute little town. A lot of old buildings in that town. Huge cemetery, which is surprising because it's one of those cases where there's more people underground than above ground. But it's one of those little restaurants that they serve a little bit of everything: hamburgers, cheeseburgers, corn nuggets, hot dogs. It all depends on what a person's really hungry for. They'll throw it together for you. But yeah, the Bumpin' Buffalo is pretty good. Trying to think if there's any other. There was one place up in Sturgis that was pretty good a couple times. It's a place called Red's, and they've got a really good French dip up there. If you like your roast beef sandwiches with au jus.
There's that place in Deadwood, but I can't think of what it's called in that cafe.
Mavericks.
Oh yeah, Mavericks. Mavericks is good. They have got the best. They're called
Southwest egg rolls.
Southwest egg rolls. And when I first saw them, I'm like, what the heck is this? But they are so good. They come with this plum sauce. It's to die for. I would eat them all day if I could. They're so good.
Yeah, it's definitely a snackable. Trying to think of any other places that we grabbed on the quick through.
I could always say my Aunt Cindy's.
Okay, yeah, we have to plug Aunt Cindy's. I'm trying to remember all the different choices.
My Aunt Cindy has a restaurant in Lead.
No, it's in Deadwood.
Well, technically, it's on the edge of Lead. It's between Lead and Deadwood.
How many people are in Deadwood now? Deadwood's still a vibrant city?
Oh, yeah.
Deadwood's huge compared to some of these towns.
Deadwood, especially, I mean, this time of year, it's probably a little bit quieter because it's the off season, but you can still see almost everything but the museums is still open. But yeah, it's bustling, and she's got a restaurant that does huge rolls, cinnamon rolls.
Lulu Bomb Diggities.
It's so good. If we're there, we'll stop and eat there because her good food's good.
What she makes is these things. They're called pasties, and she's got 7 or 8 different varieties of them. She's got one that's like a biscuits and gravy, and it's a little bread dough ball.
It's like a Hot Pocket, but not.
Yeah, and she's got all sorts of varieties. One's kind of like a Michigan. Another one's like a biscuits and gravy. There's a it's doubly delicious. The ham and cheese one, just lots of varieties. And pretty much every person I've ever recommended to go up there and check it out, they've always said, well, thank you for recommending that, And then they wind up taking 3 of them home and saving 2 of them in the freezer. I mean,
I like it.
They're good that way.
Yeah,
so
excuse me.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how we do it over here in Michigan too. If you go to a good pasty shop, you go there, you have your one, but then you get 4 or 5 to take with you, and then
right, exactly.
Yep.
One thing we will recommend, and this is because of Angel, there is a grocery store chain called Lynn's. And we've discovered that this works out really well for Angel because they have one in Spearfish, they have one in Lead, they have one in Custer, they have one in Hot Springs. Surprisingly enough, Rapid City hasn't figured this out yet.
They have a great deli.
Yeah.
Great hot food.
You go through the deli, and the deli section there, you got your choices. You can get donuts, you can get sushi, you can get chicken strips.
They have this really good, amazing. I can't remember the exact name of it, but there's this like spicy sushi that they have, and they make it like completely fresh. Like you can see the people making it sometimes, and it's super good. And they've got really good stuff like the mashed potatoes, macaroni. They have these little like school bag lunches that you can get. There's like a sandwich, an apple. There's like a yummy little treat in there. It's Gucci. It's great.
Feeding Angel is difficult sometimes. As I said, we're very picky eaters, and Angel is a semi vegetarian. So finding food for her in a state that does not have a lot of vegetarian options can be challenging.
Right. I can see that. I can definitely see that. Now, what's been your own personal favorite adventure that you've been out to? What's been your favorite experience on the road?
That it is very hard to choose. I would have to say, currently, I would have to put the Axe Murder House as top, or the Gustav House, because those were just so amazing. The Gustav House, we didn't know was there. We kind of found it accidentally, and we had to go inside. We just had to go inside. And then, of course, the Axe Murder House, we got an invitation from another YouTuber, and we got to go, and we're hoping to do more what's the word I'm looking for, Angel?
True crime?
That too, but
Nice.
starts with a C. Will you do with a connection of another person?
Collab.
Collaboration.
Bond. String.
We do have a couple that we do know from East River that we're hoping to try to meet around the central part of the state. Digham is one of them.
Yep.
And although we had one guy we were going to do a collaboration with last week, and I kind of found out the hard way that churches have thistles around them by about 78 of them.
Oh.
With a lot of
How did you get stuck in that?
cemetery.
Well,
And he had no car.
thistles and cactuses love me. If you've watched any of our adventures from last summer, they love me. And we've been to this church before, but when we went there, we did not see the thistles. And so we decided to go there at night to do an investigation, because why not? There are no street lights because it's the middle of Nowhereville, and so we did not see the thistles. Even with our Angel kind of saw them with her camera light.
I saw all of them. I knew we're in a place with a bunch of thistles around abandoned places and everything. If you don't like thistles, you learn to be careful and cautious. So I had my flashlight. Dad went like what?
6 feet.
6 feet ahead, and he just did not notice any of the thistles until I was like, "Hey, there's a lot of thistles here." Looks down. There appears to be a lot of thistles. You're right. We should probably head back. He's got like 30 in each leg and everything.
From my ankle to my knees, I was picking them up. My little safety tip: keep an Altoids tin handy, because
Or
literally, or tweezers, because I was literally pinching them off one after another. She's like, "Oh, let's just go home." I'm like, "I'm not getting in the car with the car full of thistles. I'm sorry. I'm going to pick these all out and throw them away."
You gotta take them out one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 98% of them. I mean, I got home and there was still two that are hanging on, but yeah, no, it was creative, and of course, go back to the when you talk about places that were towns or attempted to make a town. This was a place that was called Lakeside. There is no lake, and it's by the side of the road. That's about it. Cemetery is there. It's a nice cemetery.
It's a very nice cemetery. It's actually a very nice church when you get there.
Yeah, there's about 3 churches in the area. There's 3 old schoolhouses and a 4th schoolhouse that I think is probably independent. But yeah, I've got a map of the platting of this township that they tried to make out there, and it's north of a place called Wicksville. But I think there's one rancher that still lives in the nearby area, and then maybe another 5 or 6 after that. But a lot of it's just wide open ranch land now, or they grow hay out there to feed the cattle.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a good, I think it's 10 miles north of Wicksville. If you go in the opposite direction from Wicksville, you get to see a real ghost town too, and that's Onwonka. And we had the pleasure of actually seeing the cemetery for the first time this year in the middle of a windstorm.
Yeah, that's our blizzard expedition. And we went because the gates were open, and we tried 3 other times and the gates weren't open. So this time we were going to see them, weather be damned.
Right.
Yes, Angel almost flown away.
Yeah, Angel's such a little sprite of a thing. We were wondering if we should tie a rope around her waist and use her as a kite. I mean,
I was so close a few times to just go and
I suggested that once to somebody who might still be in the chat. They were talking about Hurricane Ian, and I suggested that they tie a string around their dog and fly him as a kite. I don't know why they didn't try it. I would have been a great video, but
yeah, Angel. Next time we'll give you the camera that something like that happens.
Until Shaw was over.
Angel's
fly a dog.
Angel's mad passion with thunder and other things like that. But what's crazy is they put this cemetery up on top of this hilltop. And so, if you want to drive up the hill, you can. But I decided to park in a lower area and try to brace against the wind. You get to the top up there, and even a big guy like me, they'll try to take you off your feet if you're not hanging on to something. So
Sure. Where do you some of your what are you some of your like, you mentioned before about going to Montana, but where are some other places you have, like, like you want to go to? Do you have like an itinerary mapped out of places you want to go and see and explore?
That would be way too much planning ahead. Montana's on the list because I seen that they do some ghost tours, so that made my list. Honestly, there are so many places. One of these days when we're rich or retired, one of the two, we're just gonna start traveling in one of those RVs and just go from place to place and be one of those traveling old people who just go and see everything.
I usually see a lot of the ones that I've spotted are in like Colorado, Wyoming, along the front edge of the Rocky Mountains. There's a lot of little, ghost towns up there too. Leadville, Century City. As you go, I guess there's a couple places even in Nebraska that they mention ghost towns and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to get out there. I've got kinfolk. We could probably crash in Denver if we needed to, and then circle out from there. We did have one lady that we talked to that invited us down to do Las Vegas. Only thing is we had to choose between her thing and going and seeing Doctor Strange. And I think we went with the movie instead. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we'd already bought the tickets by the time she invited us. So, we couldn't really do anything about that. So
I also love how you guys are like, oh yeah, we'd go somewhere still kind of in the United States, and I'm just over here like, where would I go? Let's see, Greece, Norway, probably Turkey. Out of the fucking out of America.
Out of America, yeah, I could get that. I've always wanted to see Ireland and Australia and New Zealand. So
yeah, those would be good.
Those would be good. I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys. Now, your channel has all your playlists on of all your adventures, doesn't it?
Correct. It goes all the way back to our very first post, which we're very cringy. I admit that they're there.
How do you like using YouTube as a platform? Is it something you guys really enjoy using a lot? Have you met any friends so far from the channels?
Not in person. We're hoping to do that. Well, I mean, technically, we met the BS paranormal guy. He was kind of sweet, although Angel found him a little negative. But we're hoping to meet more. We're looking at doing some collaborations in the summer. So hopefully, unfortunately, not most people that we've met online, YouTube, but most of our YouTube friends are not near us. So maybe someday. But as a platform as a whole, I love it. I'm usually the one posting and chatting and watching videos. So I love our community. I love the people we've met, even if it's just virtually. I love everybody. It's great.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know.
I think it's cool. I haven't met anybody yet myself, anybody face to face yet, but I'm sure I will sometime down the line. I'm sure I'll meet somebody. Listen, I want to thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us and doing 8 questions with. I've had a great time. This has been exactly what I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a lot of fun and history filled and paranormal. And I knew you're going to have more than just. I know when you said picky eaters, and then all of a sudden you named out 20 restaurants. I'm going like, oh yeah. They're just. I think it's more they're hiding out their great places.
Oh yes,
yeah, we're picky, so don't go any places that we tell you because we're picky. But I think and if you were to advise people, let's say they came over to South Dakota and they did meet you and they said, hey, which direction should we go to explore? Which direction would you send them to?
I think it depends upon what they want to see. If they want to see abandoned places, you probably want to go north?
I would probably recommend, if you're looking for abandoned places, I would probably send them up by Highway 212, and then once they get into Perkins, just start taking some of the back roads up towards Bison and Lemon. Meade County has a lot of little ghost towns. Again, some of the back roads. But yeah, just grab, at any gas station, one of the atlases. A lot of the small towns are still listed. Stoneville's up there. Red Owl's up there. You got White Owl. You got Enning. A lot of those are just, little 10, 15 population places. But people up there are real friendly. One last shout out would be the cafe that's in the town of Enning. It's got some real good steak and fries, a couple other options. But yeah.
And if you want to do trails, I would say you want to do like the Mickelson Trail. It's one of the bigger ones. It's one of the more popular ones. If you want to do supernatural, paranormal, you want to go to Deadwood, because a lot of Deadwood and Lead is haunted. And if you want an easy haunting, that's your place to go. So it really just depends upon what they want to see and what they want to experience and what they want to do.
That sounds amazing. I'm glad that South Dakota and the Dakotas and the Badlands, they sound a lot more. There's a lot going on there than people realize. It looks like
there can be, if you know how to find it, and
right.
If you're into that.
Like, what do you mean? There's a lot to do.
Oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, and for you guys can enjoy the rest of your night. I want to thank you again for coming out. I'd like the chat for I'd like to say thank you to the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. This has been tremendously fun. And after we get on the other side of winter, I'd like to have you guys come back and talk about what you're going to be doing in the spring, this summer.
Sounds great.
Yep. Thank you so much. Tomorrow night, we welcome our good friend Michael, also known as Heroic Waffles. He has the best YouTube channel name. I keep saying that because it's true, but I have never come across a better YouTube name than Heroic Waffles. And he'll be here tomorrow night at 8:00, and we will be talking films tomorrow. That's right. He is a very, very good film collector. So we'll be talking about Amazon Prime days. We'll be talking about Black Friday coming up, boutique labels, all sorts of good stuff. And no baseball. Not talking baseball tomorrow. No baseball. All right, folks. Thanks so much for coming by. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:00 with Michael Lysick, also known as Heroic Waffles. You two. Well, thank you guys for coming out. And and Echo Zero is going on at 10:00 with Echo Side. And you can just type in his name there. I don't know if they did that. Let me see if they did that. Of course, my computer going to sleep. All right. Yeah. I don't know why it does that to me. Oh, anyway, if you type in Echo Zero, ECHOCERO in the bar, you can find him that way. And then yeah. All right. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.